Good morning. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. It's Monday morning, and you can choose that today, this week, this moment is going to be flowing, easy. You're going to allow the universe to carry you, to do the heavy lifting, to allow you to go after your goals, your dreams, whatever fills you, whatever fulfills you. You can choose. In Bob Proctor's book, The ABCs of Success, he asks, how many times in a single day do you suppose you say, I have to? Count them. I'll bet you hear her say, I have to, at least 100 times between the time you get up in the morning and when you lie down at night. I have to get the car fixed. I have to go shopping. I won't be home for dinner. I have to go to work. The truth is, you can go home for dinner if you really want to. You choose to work. There's nothing you have to do. Everything you do, you choose to do. He says, I know you're probably thinking, now, wait a minute, Proctor. There are some things a person has to do. You have to pay taxes. Think about it, my friend. You don't have to pay taxes. You have a choice of going to jail or moving to a tax-free zone. I agree this may seem ridiculous, but it's true nevertheless. J. Martin Coe wrote a marvelous book titled Your Greatest Power. His book was about choice. The ability to choose is your greatest power. In fact, the ability to choose is what separates you from the rest of the animal kingdom. Think about the number of times you're asked to go somewhere or do something and you feel you have to. You don't. You have the ability to choose. You can say no. Are you aware that the word no can be a complete sentence? You may choose to be a little more diplomatic and suggest that you have chosen to do something else rather than give a straight, flat no, but it's your choice. Give this some serious thought. Life is short, too short to be spent doing something or going somewhere you've not chosen to do or go. Many people stay in jobs they detest. Why? Another short, complete statement, I quit, could change their lives. It is your choice. Choose to have a great day. That's what I've chosen to do today. Of the blessing set before you, your choice. Make your choice and be content. The history of free men is never really written by chance, but by choice. Their choice. Our freedom can be measured by the number of things we can walk away from. Choose today that you're going to love life and then notice that life loves you. It's your choice to grumble and complain and gossip and get down into the depths with the masses of people who are worried and doubting and talking about what's going wrong. Or you can choose to live at a higher level. You can choose to be happy and notice things to be happy about. Notice when you start out the morning with a list of what you're grateful for. When you put gratitude as one of the very first things you do when you wake up, rather than check your phone, check your mindset. Are you grateful? Are you happy? Are you choosing well-being? There is a beautiful book called The Hidden Power by Thomas Troward, and Bob Proctor used to study this regularly. Thomas Troward has a chapter called Touching Lightly, and I used to study this chapter with Bob Proctor, and it made my demeanor, my mood, my choices easier. It allowed me to remember who I am, a divine spiritual being living in a physical body at this time and space. Your body is not who you are. Your body is a container for your intellect and your spirit. This chapter, Touching Lightly, Thomas Troward says, what is our point of support? Is it in ourselves or outside us? Are we self-poised, or does our balance depend on something external? According to the actual belief in which our answer to these questions is embodied, so will our lives be. In everything, there are two parts, the essential and the incidental. That which is the nucleus and raison d'etre of the whole thing, and that which gathers round this nucleus and takes form from it. The true knowledge always consists in distinguishing these two from each other, and error always consists in misplacing them. In all our affairs, there are two factors, ourselves and the matter to be dealt with. And since for us the nature of anything is always determined by our thought of it, it is entirely a question of our belief. Which of these two factors shall be the essential and which the accessory? Whichever we regard as the essential, the other at once becomes the incidental. The incidental can never be absent. For any sort of action to take place, there must be some conditions under which activity passes out into visible results. But the same sort of activity may occur under a variety of different conditions and may thus produce very visible results. So in every matter, we shall always find an essential or energizing factor and an incidental factor which derives its quality from the nature of the energy. When you fill yourself up with divine energy, remembering who you are, tapping into that source energy, giving thanks for your life, for your skills, your abilities, your talents, and then developing your talents, remembering who you are and why you're here. What is it that you choose to do today? Fill yourself up and then go out into the world. There is an opportunity to live the way you really want, to remember that you create your life. You are co-creating your life with every habit, with every choice, with every action. Your thoughts, your feelings, your actions are creating your life. So when you decide what you really want, you tap into that divine spiritual energy. You sit still for a few minutes and ask for guidance for the day. And then whatever circumstances and conditions are out in the world that you're part of, you know that everything changes. You know that what you focus on grows. So if you do what Thomas Troward says, touch lightly, don't focus so intently on the world around you that's not what you choose, not what you want, but just look at it long enough to decide that's not what I want. I'm going after something bigger, better, different, something more in alignment with who I really am, and relax into that. Thomas Troward says, "So in every matter we shall always find an essential or energizing factor and an incidental factor." We want to make our circumstances and conditions the incidental. The energizing factor is our thoughts, feelings, actions tied to our purposeful life, the divine, the divine idea, the beautiful picture that you have in your mind, the purpose in your heart, what you really, really want. Peace, love, joy, wealth, prosperity, well-being. Place your attention on what you prefer, and then your circumstances will change. Thomas Troward says we can therefore never escape from having to select our essential and our incidental factor. Again, here is our choice. And whichever we select as the essential, we thereby place the other in the position of the incidental. If then we make the mistake of reversing the true position and suppose that the energizing force comes from the merely accessory circumstances, we make them our point of support and lean upon them and stand or fall with them accordingly. And so we come into a condition of weakness and obsequious waiting on all sorts of external influences, which is the very reverse of that strength, wisdom, and opulence, which are the only meaning of liberty. But if we would ask ourselves a common sense question, where can the center of a man's life be except in himself? We shall see that in all which pertains to us, the energizing center must be in ourselves, and we can never get away from ourselves as the center of our own universe. And the sooner we clearly understand this, the better. There is really no energy in our universe but what emanates from ourselves in the first instance. And the power which appears to reside in our surroundings is derived entirely from our own mind. If once we realize this and consider that the life which flows into us from the universal life principle is at every moment new life, entirely undifferentiated to any particular purpose besides that of supporting our own individuality, and that it is therefore ours to externalize in any form we will, then we find that this manifestation of the eternal life principle in ourselves is the standpoint from which we can control our surroundings. We must lean firmly on the center point of our own being and not on anything else. Our mistake is in taking our surroundings too much au grand sérieux, seriously. We should touch things more lightly. As soon as we feel that their weight impedes our free handling of them, they are mastering us and not we them. Light handling does not mean weak handling. On the contrary, lightness of touch is incompatible with a weak grasp of the instrument, which implies that the weight of the tool is excessive relatively to the force that seeks to guide it. A light, even playful handling, therefore implies a firm grasp and perfect control over the instrument. It is only in the hands of a Grinling Gibbons that the carving tool can create miracles of aerial lightness from the solid wood. This light yet firm touch tells not of weakness, but of power held in reserve. And if we realize our own out and out spiritual nature, we know that behind any measure of power we may put forth, there is a whole reserve of the infinite to back us up. Grinling Gibbons was a famous carver who did intricate, beautiful wood carvings. Try and take a little knife and a block of wood and see how difficult it is to carve anything out of wood, and you will understand that it is a firm grasp and perfect control over the instrument, and it is with delicate light touch that the carving ends up so beautiful. So we're not going to force, we're not going to push, we're going to ask for guidance. Whether you say Holy Spirit, God, infinite intelligence, higher power, allow that infinite power, that infinite potential to lift you, to guide you, to run your mind, your heart, your actions, not by force, but by understanding and by faith. Thomas Troward says, as we come to know this, we begin to handle things lightly, playing with them as a juggler does with his flying knives, which cannot make the slightest movement other than he has assigned to them. For we begin to see that our control over things is part of the necessary order of the universe. The disorder we have met with in the past has resulted precisely from our never having attempted consciously to introduce this element of our personal control as part of the system. Now, this is not control of the outside circumstances, it is control of your thoughts, control of your thoughts, control of your feelings, control over your own actions. Thomas Troward says, of course I speak of the whole man and not merely of that part of him which Walt Whitman says is contained between his hat and his boots. The whole man is an infinitude, and the invisible portion of him is the instrument through which he looks out upon and enjoys all that belongs to him, his own kingdom of the infinite. And when he learns that this is the meaning of his conscious individuality, he sees how it is that he is infinite and finds that he is one with infinite mind, which is the innermost core of the universe. Having thus reached the true center of his own being, he can never give this central place to anything else, but will realize that relatively to this, all other things are in the position of the incidental and accessory, and growing daily in this knowledge, he will learn so to handle all things lightly yet firmly, that grief, fear, and error will have less and less space in his world, until at last sorrow and sighing shall flee away, and everlasting joy shall take their place. We may have taken only a few steps on the way as yet, but they are in the right direction, and what we have to do now is to go on. To go on choosing, deciding, believing in what you really want is available to you. You don't need to know how, you just need to know what it is that you desire and why it's important to you. What is your big why? Is it to feel better? Is it to do something wonderful in this lifetime? To leave a legacy, not necessarily piles of money, but what will people say about you after you're gone? Live your life now so that you will be remembered as a beautiful, peaceful, joyful person who affected the lives of those that you love. Maybe someone who contributed more to society than you could possibly imagine. What do you want? What would you have people say about your life? How did you live a meaningful, purposeful life? When you go after what you really want, when you fill yourself up with divine energy and know you're co-creating your life with divine infinite intelligence and allowing that to be part of your life, allowing you to fill yourself up and then go out into the world. Visualize how you truly want your day to be, not how it's been in the past, not fighting and forcing and making things happen, but allowing. You might have heard of Mel Robbins' theory of let them be. Bob Proctor uses that all the time. Just let people have their opinions. Let people say what they're going to say. You don't have to buy into their opinion. You choose to be calm under pressure. You choose to spend time reading, studying, gaining knowledge, calming your mind and your heart, taking actions in the direction of your beautiful, purposeful life, and letting people have their own opinion, allowing yourself to tap into a vision that you love, and then thinking about it, writing about it, practicing it in your mind, feeling it in your heart, feeling it in every cell of your being, and then taking action, even if you're scared, taking action, even if you're concerned what other people will think or say or do. What do you want to bring into your experience? Start practicing what that would look like, what that would feel like. You know why it's important to you. If you give thanks for it already being part of your life, it will just naturally develop into that. What you think, what you feel, what you do creates your life. You're not fated for something that you're worried about, but when you practice focusing on the outside and worrying, then the natural progression is to go where your thoughts and feelings and actions take you. Notice what you're thinking about. Notice if you're very concerned, worried, afraid of something. Turn that over to your higher power. Let it be easy. Allow ease and flow to be part of your day. Set your intention. Decide how you want to be living and get on with doing that. Don't worry about what other people will be thinking about you. Everyone has their own opinion. Instead of judging, yourself instead of judging others. Decide what you want. Write it down. Put sticky notes all over the place. Carry a goal card with you, reminding you, this is what I really want. This is what I'm choosing. This is what I'm going after. Thank you, thank you, thank you for my life. Thank you for my skills, my abilities, my talents that I know I can develop and become that version that lives the way I want to live. If you're writing an idea, a goal, if you're sitting down and writing it 100 times a day, you will get so overcome with what you want, how it feels, and really getting into that energetic vibration that it's already done, that ideas will flow to you, plans will come, and as you take action, you move ever forward towards the life that you choose, not one that's chosen for you, not one that's told you have to do it, but what do you want? Everything is available to you. Spend some time reminding yourself that everything changes. Your thoughts, your feelings, your actions can be directed to the good that you desire. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. Practice what you want. Practice thinking about what you really want, and then let go of how it could happen. Create a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7. Thank you.